Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Robinson versus Grant.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Mr. Robinson, you and your wife say you are not the father of the defendant's son, Travaris, but know who is.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
claim she deceived you into believing you were the father to collect child support, and as a result of your inability to pay, your driver's license was suspended and your tax return was taken.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you're suing Ms. Grant for $124 for license reinstatement fees and plan to return to court in your home state to fight for $1,685.10 in garnished wages.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant, you believe Mr. Robinson is denying your son only because he was summoned to pay more than $13,000 in back child support. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Robinson, how has this situation affected your marriage?
We had got a letter in mail saying that he was $13,000 arrearage in back time child support.
So before this letter, you didn't know he was even the father?
Well, when me and him met and got married in '09, he told me he had 3 children.
Okay.
And he was not in their life. I made him get in their life. Told him that you doing for my kids, you need to do for your own.
Your Honor,
All
that's
of a
not
sudden,
You say that's not true, Ms.
No.
Grant?
My son never went around them.
yes, he did.
Dexter did claim my child because I have proof here where he went to sign papers and everything.
Yeah, he did sign the paper, but he didn't sign the birth
was in the
certificate.
Well, you
hospital,
had-
He didn't
you
sign
said
the
you have
birth
proof?
certificate.
yes. He had the opportunity.
What is this
then.
paperwork?
That is where he signed and say that is his child, and he states that he would pay $60 a month for his child.
This is an affidavit, an admission of paternity, which is basically an acknowledgement of paternity. Did you sign this, sir? That's your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old was Mr. Christian Travaris when this was signed?
I think he was a couple of months, Your Honor.
So this was right after he was born?
Right. And during that time, Dexter was acknowledging that that was his child. I mean, he was coming there. We was going places together. He brought stuff. I mean, we was like as a family. I mean, yeah, he had another family also, but he played the role as a father doing then. A year after my child was born, that's when Dexter went his separate ways and his family started saying he wasn't his and all that.
So take me back. I want to understand this relationship a little bit. You all met and you started a sexual relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long after that did you realize you were pregnant?
We started dating October the 7th, 1989. And
They
we'll
were
go
not
to
never
the-
in a relationship.
Your Honor, yes, we are. And as a matter of fact, where was you in 1989 when we was together?
Well,
How
I'm
did you know
with
what was
him
going
now.
on?
I'm with him now.
Dexter, I slept with you. I did not sleep with your
Well,
wife. Could you
well,
please tell her that we
it's
was
my
together?
responsibility now
Well,
because of
where's we
09.
together?
Ms. Grant, how did this develop into a sexual relationship?
He asked me, he said, you know my birthday is next month. And I said, no. He said, yeah, it's November the 28th. He said, can we get together for my birthday? So in November, we got together at my cousin's house in the back seat of his Burgundy Bonneville, and that's where Travaris was conceived. He told me, when we finished having sex, he looked me in my face and he said, Tisha, you are pregnant. It was different. I mean, yeah, prior to Dexter, I had a relationship with Eddie. I can't say it was a relationship. I slept with Eddie.
That doesn't mean he's the father.
If you having sex with somebody, how is that not meaning that he is the father?
Okay, when you having
But
sex
my
with two
thing
different
is,
men,
So
I
wait,
was with Eddie.
you having two
Let me
prior
be
to
clear.
me,
Let me be
Dexter.
clear. Let me be clear. So you had sex with Mr. Robinson
Yes.
in the backseat of this car.
Yes.
But you were also in a sexual relationship with another man during that time.
No, prior to meeting Dexter.
Well, not during the window of conception or during the window of conception?
Not during the window of the conception.
Okay. And that man is here in court today. So you find out you're pregnant, and so after he told you that, when you find out you're pregnant, you instantly think it's Mr. Robinson.
I know it's Mr. Robinson.
So you tell him. How did he respond?
Nothing. I mean, he just took on the responsibility.
So you say he stepped up, he took on the responsibility. So, Mr. Robinson, you do acknowledge you had a sexual relationship with Miss Grant.
I did.
You did, okay. What I want to understand is, you went up and you signed the acknowledgement of paternity. When
Yes.
did you become doubtful?
2 years ago when this other man approached him and told him that he was the father.
When they
So,
got
Mr.
the paper,
Robinson.
they had to pay $13,000, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Robinson, at some point after you signed this acknowledgement, someone came up to you and said, I'm
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Christian's father?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this was just 2 years ago?
Yes, Your Honor.
So all of these years, over 20 years, you thought Mr. Christian was your son and you were paying support?
Yes, Your Honor. This guy, Mr. Eddie, came and told me Montez was his son. But out of all this time, I really thought Montez was my son.
And then what happened after that?
Mr. Robinson came home and told me about it.
This man
What
that they're
friend?
claiming walked up to him and said, I'm really Mr. Christian's father. Do you know who this man is?
I do know him, Your Honor.
And did you have a sexual relationship with him?
Prior to the conceived of Travaris.
So before Mr. Christian was conceived, you were in a sexual relationship with this other man?
Yes.
And that is Mr. Ellis?
That is.
I want to hear from him. Jerome, would you please escort him into the courtroom, please? If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Mr. Ellis, thank you for being here today. We are, of course, discussing the paternity as it relates to Mr. Christian. And we've heard testimony that says you approached Mr. Robinson at some point and said, I'm Mr. Christian's father.
Well,
did that happen?
No, that's a lie. He approached me. He came to me and he said, I heard that Montez was your son. I said, well, hey, man, hey, look, I didn't tell you to go up there and sign them papers. So that's on you. You know, I feel that he is my son because of his mom had approached me and said once.
And I
to go.
never, Your Honor, I
Oh,
never
yes,
in my
yes.
life told him
You-
that he was.
Yes,
he
you
was
have,
his
'cause you-
daddy.
Miss Grant,
You
I'm
said-
going to give you
At
a
all.
chance to respond. Let me hear his testimony first.
Because
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
proceed.
He used to stay with my mom, and all y'all, we call me Pops and whatnot, so, hey, I feel he my son, you know?
So you acknowledge that you had a sexual relationship with Miss Grant, and was it during the window of time when Mr. Christian was conceived? You believe that?
Yes.
What did Miss Grant say to you that made you believe that you were
He told me to go get my son out the tree, you know? Go and get him out the tree. He acting just like you.
How old was he when she said that?
I think he was probably about 7 or 8, something like that.
So you were just over there and she said, go get your son out the tree.
Yeah.
And then what, you looked at her and you felt like, are you saying to me this is my son?
Exactly.
Your
Exactly.
Honor, if my son went up the tree, you know that if my son went up the tree, he'll came down. Now, at the age of 14, my child, apparently y'all don't know who he is, so where you been all this time?
Well,
If you
man.
claiming to be the father and say, I said at the age of 7 or 8 that he was your child, so why it took you that long to come in and respond to him, and now all of a sudden you saying that he's your child? Where is my support?
Well, hey, look,
I mean, seriously.
you.
So who's the bad person
Well,
here?
you told me it wasn't mine.
And my point exactly.
So
I
you-
told you he wasn't yours.
Yeah, when you
I
said-
never told you he was.
But when you said it
Exactly.
wasn't mine.
Just like Mr. Eddie
Yeah.
had came and told my husband that Mr.
Well,
Christian
when-
was his child.
Yeah, when you told me it wasn't mine, what I was supposed to do?
That's what I'm
So
saying.
I-
So how would I
left it
tell you
alone.
he yours and then I
So-
talk about he's
by-
not yours?
by me-
Come on, get your story straight.
So by
Let
me-
me know.
by me
That's
leaving
money.
it alone.
What did I
That's
say?
all.
So how would I
left it
tell you
alone.
he yours and then I
So-
talk
so
about he's
by-
not yours?
by me-
Come on, get your story straight.
Going through the years, now you and him then broke up. Now all of a sudden, everybody going around saying, hey, man, that's your son.
Thank you, everybody else. Not Tisha, everybody else saying
You
that he's
said it,
yours.
Will.
Everybody else. Your mom even the one that agreed to say he was yours.
You stayed with my mother.
He stayed his sophomore year of high school with her. We had a falling out, and at that time, she used to spend a lot of time. He used to spend a lot of time over there because he ran track and played sports with
So he
his
used to
nephew.
spend a lot of time over with Mr. Ellis's family.
Yes,
Yeah.
But why?
because he was friends with his nephew.
So when he would spend the summers and be involved in your family, you thought it was because he was your family, he was your son.
Of course. Exactly.
All right, so I would like to hear from Mr. Christian. Sir, would you please stand? So, Mr. Christian, were you ever told that Mr. Ellis was your father?
I was told that it could be either of the two.
That it could be either of the two?
Yes, ma'am.
And who told you this?
My mom.
She did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Grant, your son's saying that you honestly told him it could be either of these two men.
Mm-hmm.
In your prior testimony, you said you were only sleeping with Mr. Ellis way before Mr. Robinson.
I was telling the truth earlier. But you know, as a young girl, the community say, he look like him, he look like this, and he look like... So, okay, they drilled it in my head, and I'm like, I know when I had him.
You really think Mr. Robinson is your child's father?
Yeah.
But your community keeps saying that he looks like Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
And so ultimately, you have to tell your son, I really don't know. It could be one of these two men.
Right, because everybody running to him and saying, now, you know Eddie is your daddy and all that. So once everybody was running to him, I said, well, everybody else saying, I said, it could possibly be.
Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Robinson and Mr. Robinson, you're saying you want $124 because you have to apply to get his driver's license reinstated because it was suspended because of failure to pay his support.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you believe that this was not lawful and not appropriate because he really is not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
I know exactly why he's on child support. He's on child support because he signed voluntarily an acknowledgement of paternity. He admitted that he was the father legally when he executed that. Do you understand?
Yes.
And this is what's important, is that ignorance of the law is never an excuse. So therefore, I cannot award you the $124 that it would cost to reinstate his license because by signing that document, he acknowledged he's the father, he's responsible for the child support. Your claim is denied. All right, so Mr. Christian, who did you call or regard as your father growing up?
Eddie most of the time.
That would be Mr. Ellis.
Yes, ma'am.
When you thought about dad, when you thought about father, you thought about him.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that Mr. Robinson was paying child support?
No, ma'am.
You never knew that?
Neither one of them actually did anything. Like, I just, referred to him as more of a father because his family, like he said, they reached out towards me more.
Mr. Ellis's?
Yes.
And what about your relationship with Mr. Robinson and his family?
There was no relationship with me and his family.
So you
Your
felt
Honor, we sent
rejected
him
by
money.
his family,
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, we
and
sent
they would
him
tell
money.
you you're not.
When did you send me money?
We sent you money
When?
to Western Union.
When?
Back in 09.
You show me a receipt and I'll tell you that I'm a lie.
You say you've never received any
Never
money.
received money from either one of them. Throughout college, throughout everything. Like, I got a full athletic scholarship, running track at Mississippi State. Everything for me in college was paid for. Like, although I thank my mom for all she's done, she went on to finish high school, took college courses, been working at the hospital since I was 8. But, like, that's all I ever had was my mom. Like, true enough, he started trying to interact with me more, like he said, like when I was around his family. And that's Eddie, of course. But Dexter never did anything for me. I never had a real father figure in my life. Like, both of them basically made bad decisions coming up. Like, true enough, he stayed in Michigan and he stayed basically 10 miles away, and I never even had a relationship with him at all.
So, Ms. Grant, I have to ask you, because I'm looking at this handsome young man, smart young man. I can't imagine anybody that wouldn't want to be his dad. What do you think this is about?
It's more of they saying that I want money. I hadn't had money in 24 years of his life.
My mom was not money hungry at all.
I worked all my life since he became a child, since I brought him into this world. I've been working
But
since
he's
I was 14.
$13,000 behind. I mean, that's what you
Okay,
want.
but if you was paying child support, you shouldn't be $13,000 behind.
But if you wouldn't
Come
have
on.
been, but if you wouldn't have been saying
But you
another man
paying him.
was the daddy,
But you
maybe
paying
he
him.
would have been
But you
doing
said
his
this just happened
responsibility.
2 years ago, so what happened to the other 22 years? Why you hadn't paid nothing then?
Neither one of them was around. Neither
Girl,
one of them.
please, get your life.
I think the way that we can all begin to move forward is to just get the results. Are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Robinson versus Grant, when it comes to 24-year-old Travaris Christian, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Eddie Ellis, you are not the father. Mr. Dexter Robinson, you are not the father.
Thanks God.
There's nobody else?
There has to be at least one more. And I know that's a long time to think back. I think you got some thinking to do. You have an amazing young man here. It's about finding out the answers for your child. He deserves that. Mr. Robinson, Ms. Robinson, I need to inform you that there is no guarantee that you will be released from your obligation to pay those arrears, because under the law, when you sign that acknowledgement of paternity voluntarily, you're responsible. Are you all right, Mr. Christian?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I'm fine. I'm a grown man now. I moved on in life. It hurt, like, for Eddie not to be my father, simply because his family, they look at me more like as a family member.
I'ma still be in your life, either way it go.
I appreciate that.
Ms. Grant, if you think of someone and you need our help, we're here. I wish you all the very best of luck. We have counseling and resources for you. Please take advantage of them, all right?
Thank you.
Good luck to you all. Court is adjourned.